Hi everybody, welcome to Simply Scuba. Today we have top 10 tips on Tuesday for tanks, or cylinders we should really call them. Today they're of course a fundamental part of our scuba diving setups, so let's jump into some tips. New divers often think that because there's such high pressure inside of a cylinder that they really have to crank that valve closed with all of their might, but this really isn't the case and it can actually damage your valve. Finger tight. The valve handle shouldn't really have to touch the palm of your hand to close it properly. If it does, then the valve might actually need replacement sealing surfaces. So whenever you're tightening your cylinder valves, just do it with your fingertips. You really don't have to wrench it closed. Your diving cylinder has a snorkel. It's only about an inch or two long and it's actually on the inside of the cylinder, but trust me, it's there. Most divers only really learn about them when they basically fall out. They're just screwed into the bottom of the valve and sometimes they just fall out and end up rattling around on the inside of your tank. You just need to drain it of any pressure and get someone to pop it back into place. It's pretty quick and easy. It's only really there to stop debris from getting inside of the valve itself whenever your cylinder is inverted, if some rust or something builds up on the inside of your tank. Take the rubber boot off of your tank from time to time to let that area dry. Boots and other covers can hold water against the metal of your cylinder and cause it to corrode over time, and of course hide that corrosion from you so you can't see it. It's obviously worse with steel cylinders because they rust, but after a dive, do your best to keep it as dry as possible and remove boots from time to time to inspect for any damage. It can be fun to customize your tanks with wraps and stickers, but these should strictly be taken off completely during a test. So you might lose them if they don't come off nicely, and the technician, they're not going to spend hours meticulously trying to peel off all of your stickers. So stickers and wraps, again, they could hide corrosion underneath them. So this technician strictly does need to look over the outside of your tank. So they're going to take your stickers off. If you're really attached to your stickers, do it before you bring it in for a test or just stick it somewhere else. Your cylinder needs periodic testing, whether you like it or not. One sticker that a lot of dive centers tends to put on your tank when they test it is a date sticker that lets you know when it runs out of test. This is not the only thing that lets us fillers know when the cylinder is out of test. So taking that sticker off because it's out of test right before a fill isn't going to help you. We know when your tank is out of test and no, we will not fill it. If you drop your tank or it just falls over and it ends up with a dent, then you need to take it to be checked out. Sometimes a little dent isn't so bad, so after the test you can have it back, but dents can affect the strength of the cylinder, especially if the dent is along the walls on the side, so get them checked out. Valves often bend and just need replacing, so they're fairly quick and easy, but it can be a pain to drain them depending on which part of the valve is broken. So in general, do your best not to drop your tanks. That's why we tell you not to stand them upright. But if they do, bring it in for a test. It's the safest thing to do. If you damage the enamel coating on your steel tank, it's best to dry the area and then repaint it as soon as possible. Rust can form on the exposed steel, but it can also spread underneath the enamel as well. If you catch it early enough, it won't be an issue, but if you start to see the enamel bubbling, it can just eventually flake off and you'll just find rust underneath that enamel, and if that rust is deep enough into the steel, then that cylinder is going to fail its next test, so it's best to repaint any exposed areas. The size of your tank is important, not just the volume, but the length. A 12-litre dumpy tank has the same volume as a 12-litre long, but it's about a foot shorter, which is great. A more compact cylinder, right? It's great right up until you have to sit down on the rib or on a bench and the bottom of the cylinder doesn't actually reach the bench, so the whole weight of that cylinder is always on your shoulders. The opposite is true if you're short. If the tank valve keeps bashing on the back of your head during a dive, maybe a short tank is better for you. But consider the length of the tank, not just the volume when you're investing in a cylinder. When you're buying a cylinder or importing a cylinder into another territory, consider the testing standard, not just with getting it tested, but actually getting it filled. If somebody imports a cylinder into your country and you buy it from them, doesn't necessarily mean that it can automatically get filled anywhere. So double check what standard the tank is tested to and if that standard is recognized where you're getting it filled. When you take your tank in for a fill, it is 100% up to the person that is filling it whether it is going to be filled or not. It can be the most pristine, in-date cylinder, but if the filler doesn't like it for whatever reason, there is absolutely nothing that you can say or cry about to make them fill it. I don't care if it's ruining your weekend plans, the filler's safety is more important, and if it's out of test, then there is absolutely nothing you can do but jump in your time machine and get it tested last week. And there were 10 top tips about tanks on a Tuesday. Alliteration is always fun, but if you have any tips or advice about diving cylinders for other divers, pop them down in the comments below for other divers to learn. Head over to simplyscuba.com for all the latest scuba diving equipment. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.